All right, everybody. So welcome back to the second episode of our podcast. We're on a streak here, so we had a good start. In this week's episode, I would like to, or the topic that I have prepared for this week is going to be a couple of rookie mistakes and a couple of false beliefs that people have around digital products and why they're not selling, what's not working well for them. And I think ideally we can share a couple of stories on what we have found from ourselves as well as from a couple of the coaching students that we have been working closer.
Yeah, I guess we have made all the mistakes, and today we will share like the most common mistakes that people should avoid when they start a digital product.
Absolutely. The first mistake that I have prepared that I would like to start off is a weak offer cannot solve any funnel issue. Like, I don't know if that made any sense what I said, but what I'm trying to say is if you have a weak offer, there is no funnel in the world, there is no tool in the world, there is no hack or strategy or anything else in the world that is going to save that weak offer.
At least not in the long term. Sometimes you have like a weak offer, but the topic is so in demand. Like if I say, I don't know, AI agents, for example, this is like a topic that is like currently all over the place and people are searching for it. And there is like a lot of value, a lot of videos on YouTube. And for now, you could also get away with a crappy offer. But in general, like in a year from now, if you're talking like you have to have a very good offer in order to be long-term successful.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think like the example that you just gave, this is always like a very, very short time period. Yeah. So I don't think this is a way of building a proper business on that fundament, if that's the correct English word, because it's like, yeah, you can ride the wave for so long, but at some point you're gonna fall on the nose.
Yes.
I think also like one story that I like to share here is we have been working a lot as an agency and we have been running ads for other businesses. And one of the most, like, how should I say, the biggest realization for me personally that I had from this experience of working with, I don't know, like plus 50 different businesses was the biggest differentiator was always the offer. Like the people that had a good offer and the people that were open to, I don't know, do a sale or do like a Valentine's deal or anything like this. Those were always the one where for some reason, let's not say specifically what reason, but for some reason it was always working a lot better compared to the other business owners where it was like, no, these are our prices and this is like we don't offer any discounts or do any deals or anything like this.
Yeah, 100%. And also like one thing we should mention is that it's not always like an price discount. When you're talking about the offer, sometimes we have, like, for example, I know in here in Austria and also in Germany, you have like restrictions that, for example, as e-commerce store, you have to give people, if you're selling B2C, like to consumer clients, you have to give them 14-day money back guarantee. Like this is permitted, you have to do it. And our way when we talk to our customers was like use this as a benefit to optimize your offer. And most of the time people were a little bit scared because like 14 days is a long time. We don't want to give this to the customer, or we don't want to share this with the customer because the customer has right to give it back no matter if you say it or not. But this is an example of you don't always have to make the price cheaper, but making the offer better does not always have to do something with the price.
Absolutely, yeah. And maybe we can actually talk a little bit about how you can make an offer better, because I think a common mistake where you mentioned already that we made that in the past as well, and still sometimes we fall into that trap, is that we think making an offer better means that we list out all of the features that we're giving. So we say we have 23 hour and 30 minutes of course material and 100-page long PDF and like, I don't know. So we list out the things that we give people, and then we think this is the thing that's making the offer more valuable. And I think this is a common mistake, because especially if you have built the product yourself and you did not let AI generate it for you, and you've put in your heart and soul into this, and you're convinced that your product is the best piece of product or content that has ever been made, you feel like listing that out is making the thing more valuable, and it's not. Like, people could not care less. Like, information is available everywhere. So especially with AI and with agents, and it's just getting less and less valuable, the content itself. So do you have a way of creating an offer more valuable that you default to, or is it just a value equation from Hormozy, or like what would you say is your go-to?
I mean, one thing we have, like, I don't know if we have figured it out, but what we are working on is to talk more about the transformation of the customer. Like, do not sell, as you mentioned, like 40, 80 hours of content inside of your course, because this sounds more of, oh, I have to commit a week or more to watch the entire course. You should like think about what's the benefit after they've consumed the course. Like, you can make money, you have a better relationship, you have, I don't know, the benefit of consuming your content. What is that? And use this as a USP for you, or a way to market your product, and not the inputs from your side, or the hard facts. Go more to the emotional and the pain solving topics of your product.
Yeah, and I think to be able to build an offer like this, you first of all need to know your audience. So a target audience is something that we're talking very often, and I think it's less of a specific type of person that it's like it has to be a doctor or a dentist or whatever, or a lawyer, but it's more of a person that has this and that specific problem, and that has the desire to build a digital product. And why do they want to build that digital product? You know, there are the different layers of why. So you keep on asking, why do you want that? And then you get to the real point, or like to the real reason why they want to do this. So why do people want to build a digital product? Well, because they want to have more time flexibility. Why? Because they don't want to feel stressed on a Sunday evening. Why? Because they want to spend more time with their family. Like, I don't know, like if you ask these questions, and of course the answer is going to be a little bit different for every person, but you're slowly but surely getting to the real desired outcome. And based on that, you can work on your marketing, and you can work on your offer, and you can make that better. And once you have done that, I think you can build a very solid offer of like, I help my target audience get to that desired outcome in specific time frame without a pain point. Like, that's kind of like the go-to offer sentence, if you will, that we're using. And yeah, it's very basic. Like, there is no magic behind it. I think people are always looking and searching, and including ourselves for a very long time. You're always looking for this magic formula that's magically going to make everything better. But ultimately, it comes down to the basics.
It is like, I think every issue we had in the business and in our offers and products we have created, most of the time we're coming down to the basics, and like we find issues that are pretty fundamental, because like, this is a phrase that is common used. Like, when something is easy, it's not simple. I guess I think this is the phrase, because just because it's like easy to understand, this does not mean that it's easy to implement and to think about, because there are like tiny things, but there are 100 tiny things you have to think about. And usually, if you think at least on, I don't know, 30 of them, then you have at least a good product to start with. If you think on, I don't know, 60 or 70 things, then you have a very good offer to sell. Like, this is a theoretical way of thinking, but yeah. That's
I would agree, but I think ultimately it always comes down to the boring basics, getting the basics right, keep on working on the boring basics. And that's also something that we talked about this morning, that if you keep on doing the boring things for long enough, you give luck a chance to come to you. Like if you hop around too often and if you change direction too often, that's again something that we're guilty of ourselves. Like if you change direction too often, there is no way that you get the compounding effect and that you get lucky, that you get to a point where, I don't know, businesses are reaching out to you and that you get hired to speak somewhere and all these type of things that I think a lot of people are aspiring to get towards. And I think that's one of the best things that we did in our Smartphone Filmmaking Pro time, that we just stuck to that one topic for long enough to make good things happen. Like, the YouTube channel with 136,000 subscribers, that happened because we did the same thing over and over again. I don't know, like the speaking gigs, the sponsorships, like we had some pretty cool stuff happening there. And it was not because I think, especially if you look at that product that we had back then and the offer, like the entire business compared to what we're doing now, like this was way worse, but we were just doing the same thing over and over again for a long time.
Yeah. This would be, in short, also like my recommendation when it comes to what to pick and how to start is like choose any topic that falls on the health, wealth, and relationship. Like these are the three main topics where there is the most potential when it comes to digital products, and then stick to it. Maybe work on audience and think about who your perfect target audience is and things like that. But these are things like you can figure it out down the road, but stick with one thing and stick as long as it gets like at least to, I don't know, 1 million a year is possible. I think if someone starts at 0, this is like a pretty big number, but at least to 100,000 a year, this is like the way to go. Like everyone can reach this with one of these 3 topics I've mentioned, and they like narrow it down. And when it comes to what to teach people or which product you choose in these 3 topics, if you have decided to go with, I don't know, I want to teach people how to use AI agent to make their work like easier, time efficient, and something like that, then focus on the one topic and do not like include like this topic because it's also related and this one because it's also related. Stick to focus. The better you can focus down to one specific like thing, the offer gets more clear and it will get a better outcome in general. So this would be like a very short summary I would give myself as advice if I had to start over again.
Yeah, specificity is definitely very important. And again, also something that you just always need to remind yourself. Because you, in the process of working on a new offer, working on a new product, maybe if it's just a lead magnet, like you get lost in the thing because you're into the topic and then you get overwhelmed and you create something that's just not super valuable because you're trying to make it happen for everyone and try to be too broad.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. So another thing that I would like to talk about is picking the right funnel for the right product, and especially for the right product pricing area. That's also something that we talked about this morning briefly, that especially if you're trying to sell a product that's a little more expensive, and I'm talking about products that are like over, let's say, 300 euros or dollars, whatever, at that point, you just need to have a lot more contact points with your target audience than you might think. Because like I read this study where they said like the 7 contact points that like all marketers are teaching, like that was coming from a study from the 1930s. So it's like 100 years old. And like things have changed obviously drastically. Like there was no computers, it was a completely different world back then. And I think these days, like on average, people are exposed to over 1,000 ads every single day. So that means if you show up on some screen once, that means absolutely nothing. So you need to get quality context. You need to, show up multiple different times. You need to ideally capture people's email address or like overall their contact information so that you can show up over and over again. And just I think the time frame from someone noticing you and someone like experiencing this podcast or getting this recommended until that point where someone is ready to buy a product, no matter what it is, I think that time frame is just so much longer now compared to what it was.
Absolutely. And with social media, with all the the marketing, we get bombarded over the day. Like, this is not only social media, this is also radio, this is also, if you watch television, this is also like the newspaper, or I don't know which type of things you're consuming. You have like ads everywhere, and especially as marketer, we tend to or as creator of something which we then market, we tend to forget that there is a world out there and there are billions of people out there, and everyone basically wants attention and wants to like promote themselves. And this is just something to bear in mind. Like, there are millions of businesses out there that want attention from your customer, and you're just one of them. And just to realize this over and over again and to work with this information is just very important.
Yeah, but I think key takeaway here is for anyone trying to sell a product online, you need to create a lot more content than you think. You need to send out a lot more marketing emails than you think. You need to pitch a lot more than you think. We always feel like we're already doing very much and we don't want to bother people and not want to annoy them or anything. Like, nobody cares. Most of the emails, if someone is not interested in that mail, they're just deleting it. They're not, I don't know, offended or anything like this. Like, unless you're sending like, I don't know, 10 emails every single day, of course, at some point it gets annoying. But overall, like, most people just don't care. And if you find the right people or the right person at the right time, then you will convert them into a new customer. So yeah, I think that's also like a reminder for ourselves to, just be more aggressive, if you will, in a positive way. Just be open to pitch more, and at the same time, just keep on providing value. If you keep on doing this, and if you keep, I don't know, like being in the same niche and talking about the same content, I think good things are going to happen for anyone.
Yeah. And to find also the right balance between value and like promotion or pitching your product, I think it's also like a very important thing. It's not always good to hold back, because this is also something we have done in the past. We have not shared what we have to sell. We have like hiding it very well. But yeah, just finding like the perfect. This is also something that's pretty hard to tell in general. If you should like send an email once per week or 10 times per week, because also here it depends a little bit on the audience you have, how old they are, what they're like expecting, which price range we are talking about. But like in general, be more present than you think you have to be.
Yeah, I think that's a key realization for us and for anyone listening. I think as a rule of thumb, if you think you're currently doing a lot, I think there's always room for doing probably 2 or 3 times more than that. Because if you take a look at the really big players, and of course they have different circumstances, like Alex Hormozy, for example, but he's posting like every day 4 times on all of the different platforms. And of course, again, there's a team behind it, and I understand like even we cannot do that. But overall, they're just doing a lot more, and that's the reason why they're getting exponentially better results than most other people are.
Yeah.
So there's a reason behind it. So yeah, I guess key takeaway here is just, and don't take anything for granted. Don't feel like people, as you mentioned before, people know what offer you have, and people already are so much aware, and like nobody knows. Even in our case, like probably no one listening to this knows that we have a couple different products to sell, and the software and the coaching. Nobody knows. We just need to talk about this a lot more, but not always only pitch, but just package it nicely, share value. And at some point, just mention like, hey, if you want to join our live workshop, there's going to be a link down in the description.
We have to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's one last point that I wrote down, and that is the whole topic of building an entire product ecosystem and not just building one single product, whether it's an online course, some kind of a digital product, or a coaching. I think there is a lot of value in, maybe not at the beginning, maybe not from day one, but as soon as you have your first product ready and it's selling, at that point, I think you should start to think about building a product ecosystem. Like just asking yourself the question of like, what is the next natural step for my target audience? In our case, for example, if we teach people how to build their own digital products and then they have that ready and they have that selling, at some point they will need to run paid ads if they want to scale that up to a substantial amount of money. They will need to run paid ads. And coincidentally, we have a course on that. And I think that's something that I would recommend anyone to do at a certain stage, to just think of like, what are other products that you can offer to your target audience?
Yeah. And also if you have like a big idea or a big vision of what you want to sell, also to split things a little bit in different stages, not only because you want like to sell them further down the line more things, but also to make it like better and easier to consume. Because what we have noticed in the past, also this, we have tried to package everything into one big course, like a course with 40 hours of content. But what we have noticed, if you make like the steps a little bit smaller, like we always try to sell a to B transformation. And if you try to sell like for, I don't know, if you say online courses, if you try to sell like how to build a ecosystem with 10 different products and run meta ads and scale everything to $10 million, like this would be for someone who's just starting out, a pretty big step to go, a pretty big A to B transformation. It sounds like a little bit sketchy and a little bit like too much. It sounds like I'm not able to do this. But if you start with a very small product, which brings them like, just create your first course and sell it once. Like this would be like, for example, or a course on how to find a perfect idea, a perfect like topic you should talk about. This is like a very first step, and though it has to be like always pricey, don't has to you can also like create a free thing, a free lead magnet. But just think in steps, like what is your audience gonna go? And this is, for example, also what you mentioned. Like for example, first build your digital product, have something to sell. Step 2, find a way to sell it on scale. Step 3, create an ecosystem behind it. Step 3 and so on. Step 4, step 5, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it can also be just more direct access to you as a creator or to us as creators. For example, it can be like a community and like a separate community. It can be a one-on-one coaching, a cohort. Like there are so many opportunities and possibilities there that we all can use as digital product creators to overall just lift up the average order value of a single person from, maybe if you're selling a low ticket offer, from just lifting that order value from $27 to suddenly you have a lifetime value of $2,000 or like $1,000 on average or something like this. And then suddenly the game is completely different and you can spend a lot more on ads, and the entire wheel starts spinning, and suddenly this is a very fun game to play.
100%.
Yeah, but I think this wraps up this week's episode pretty well. Thank you so much for taking the time. I hope you all have been enjoying this. Again, we're going to bring out weekly episodes just like this. Make sure you subscribe to the new channel. It's the business account. So let us know what you think about the episodes. If you have any specific topics you would like us to cover, and I'm going to see you next week.